Hi, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome back to Naylo's Thrift Talk. I'm Lola.
And I'm Nay.
And today we have a really fun haul. I know Nay went to a flea market that sounded quite fun, and I went to a local thrift store that I had not been to in years. So we both kind of scoped out some new places. Do you want to add anything to that, Nay?
No, yeah, and I'll tell you about the flea market I went to in a couple minutes. It was very underwhelming. It was not like anything huge or anything, but
But you
I
got
still
some
found some
stuff.
good stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And before we get there, we have our usual segments.
yes. Lola, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I am not wearing anything super exciting. I'm pretty sure I've worn this on the show before, but it is perfect fall weather here, and it is unfortunately supposed to get warmer again like next week. So I am taking the opportunity to wear all my cozy sweaters. This is a favorite thrift find. Bet you remember it, Nay. It's like an older J. Crew. It's just big and cozy. It's a men's sweater.
Oh, I think I do remember when we got that.
Yeah, and it's one of those examples of how like there's a lot of mall brands. I think J. Crew is a great example where the current quality is not quite what it used to be. And J. Crew is still pretty good, but I mean, it's just like I'm pretty sure this was hand knit. It's just beautiful, and one of my favorite kind of throw over anything sweaters for the winter. And then I'm wearing a pair of yoga pants that I got on Poshmark. That's one of my favorite brands, Girlfriend Collective, which the
Oh,
first
yeah.
pair I ever bought, I also thrifted. And that was how I decided that I loved the brand, and I've gotten a whole bunch more on Poshmark since then.
Very cool. So it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's and as a breast cancer survivor now, there is a there is a thing with thinking before you pink, because a lot of the causes, some of the causes are unscrupulous and they don't go to necessarily, good charities and whatnot. But I still like to wear the pink ribbon. And usually what I will do if I thrift an item that I'm not going to keep is I will, even if it didn't go to a good breast cancer charity in the first place, what I'll do is the second time around, I will sell it on eBay and do giving works to a reputable breast cancer charity. So, but this is an Under Armour hoodie that I found that is super, super comfy. It is for breast cancer awareness. Now, originally, the proceeds did go to a reputable breast cancer charity, but I found it at Goodwill for $4.99. So it was a score for me. It is in really great shape and it's super comfy. My hat is an item that I got at the flea market. So I've actually picked this hat up. It was $1 at the flea market. You could tell it had never been worn or anything. It was in like tip top shape. And I was like, oh, how much is that hat? Because I like hats, and I thought it was really cute with the bling on it. And she was like, oh, $1. I was like, okay, I'll take it. And then behind me, this is just a breast cancer scarf, a pink ribbon scarf that I got probably for $1 at a thrift store. I don't remember when or where, but and then I just wanted to show on screen my my tag from this. So here is, so it actually, yeah, it has a little ribbon that says she's a fighter in it, and the hood is lined. It's so warm, and it actually is big on me now. And it didn't fit me last year. I got this a couple years ago, and last year I couldn't wear it because I had gained too much weight. Now it's big on me, so win for that. So it's always nice to be able to fit into some of my old clothes, and it's like super fleecy. It's got inner pockets.
Looks so cozy.
It is so cozy. And there is the print. It says "Go pink or go home." She's a fighter, pink power. So it's it's just a cute, very comfy. So that is what I wear.
And I love the idea. I need to remember to do that too for like anything I find with rainbows on it that's like pride related, to do the auction for charity or the sale for charity, because it is a great way to direct a little bit of your money towards causes you believe in.
Exactly. So
well, that's sweet, Heather.
Oh yeah, that is nice. Yeah. So our thrifted items of the week. So I hear from what you were telling me, Lola, that you have a really special one this week.
I do. Did you want to go first, or?
You could go first. I'm really curious to see what you have.
Okay. I recently bought this item on Shop Goodwill, and it finally came. So I'm excited to get to share it this week. Um, I had been looking through all of the artwork, and generally it's like it's hard to find anything that's decent that's not bid up really high or just like kitschy mass produced artwork. But these drawings caught my eye, and I took a look at them, and I thought they were really
Ooh,
sweet. The photos were actually horrible, so they are even better in person than they
wow.
were on Shop Goodwill. But I noticed that the name of the artist was Polish, so of course I had to try and figure out who she was. And I'm pretty sure I found her. I haven't been able to find any other examples of her artwork, so I can't compare to anything else to make sure that it's like the same person. But her name is Helena Wodarczyk, and
Are they actual drawings or are they prints?
they are actual drawings.
Wow, that's impressive.
And then I found who I believe is the same person. She was an artist. She was born in Warsaw. Eventually, she studied art in Krakow and then went to Paris and studied under Ferdinand Leger. And then she moved back to Warsaw before World War II, and she actually served in the Home Army and was part of the Warsaw Uprising. So she was basically a resistance fighter and a war hero, which is totally not the story that I was expecting to find about these drawings. So this is an interview that she did about her experience during the war. And after the war, it sounds like what happened is she first went to the UK. She eventually made it to the United States with her husband. And then after her husband passed away in the 60s, she was one of the first Peace Corps members. And she actually ended up serving in Morocco. So I think what these drawings are drawings inspired by her time in Morocco. And I'm super not
Wow.
familiar with Morocco. It looks
Yeah,
from what
it looks like I was gonna say though, it looks like there's palm
yeah,
trees.
from photos I could find online, it seemed like, could be a small town. So if anyone knows more about Morocco than I do, or has any other ideas of what these could be depicting specifically, I would love to know. And I'm going to keep digging a little bit. I'd love to try and figure out if I can find a list of the people who were Peace Corps members at the time. Because if anyone, so she's passed away, but if anyone is still alive, it'd be so cool to hear more about kind of what she was experiencing and what the drawings are depicting. So I
Yeah.
just was so thrilled to find this whole story that I was not expecting behind these drawings. And they are, they were professionally framed at one point, but obviously they're kind of battered and worn. So I do plan to at some point get these reframed, but they're, they deserve like frames that were custom made for this size because it's not like a common size. So I
Very
definitely
cool.
want to. I paid I think $5 for them, and then maybe
Wow.
$10 for FedEx shipping because it is
Wow,
glass.
so they were
They
wow,
package
what a
them really well.
bargain. Oh my gosh. You never know on Shop Goodwill what's gonna turn up.
It's
So
so true, and so I mean they're so special. I'll probably end up paying like upwards of a couple $100 to get them custom frames just right. But
yeah, but
so
it's worth
silly
it.
compared to what I paid, but such beautiful work and an amazing story. So I'm glad to get to kind of like
Very
continue
cool.
her legacy and remember her. So yeah, that's why I love thrifting.
Well,
Oh,
your home
cool, Heather.
decor
There's a Facebook group, Identify My Art. That sounds like a fun group that I would enjoy.
oh, wow, yeah, that might be. So your home decor item blew mine out of the water today, but
Well, mine blew most of my other home decor items out
yeah,
of
it was a
the
really
water,
good one.
so
Very cool.
yeah.
So I have two actually. So this is something that another thing that I picked up at the flea market for 50
Mhm.
cents. These are
Very
just
cool.
Target. They're just from Target. Like I think they were like from Target last year.
Oh, those
But
are super fun.
yeah, and we are a tarantula loving house.
Of
So
course.
yeah, so
Very
I mean I'm
perfect.
keeping these for myself. They were brand new and I'll just use them in my
Seasonally
kitchen.
festive. But you could
Yeah,
you could
so
have them up all year round because you always have your tarantulas in your
that
house.
is true. So I thought these were perfect. So yeah, I paid 50 cents for these. So that was
Very cool.
one of the deals. And then this is, I think I showed this on our one of our breast cancer episodes. We did a breast cancer episode last year. But this is a book.
So beautiful.
Yeah. So this is a book that is, it was called it was messy. I don't know. It's like, just a book that you could find in the thrift store. It's a used book.
As we all know, you can find
Yes.
books like that
Yeah.
in the Goodwill bins,
So-
like all the time, that are just going to get recycled.
So this was sent to me by a friend, though, and she actually had it done. There's a company that, and I forget the name of them, but they actually do this. They bend the pages to make sort of like repurpose, old books, and they make them into sort of a work of art. So
I heard that, I don't think, was it you that was telling me there's like websites you can go on that will generate it for you and tell you.
No, I don't know. And I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if maybe that's one of the ones that she used. I forget. This was going back maybe 5 years ago. So I don't remember, but I know she did have it done. And yeah, so
yeah, and
that sits in my living room,
it's definitely like time intensive and beautiful, but it also sounds kind of doable. So if anyone finds, a great old book that is clearly going to just get discarded unless you repurpose it somehow.
I mean, I was looking at and it's just all folded pages, so.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to learn how.
Probably, yes. So very cool. And then our segment this week this segment this week is brought to you by our friend in the chat, Jason. So he actually sent me a message this week and said, "Hey, I have an entry for your segment." So it is, and I hope I'm getting this right, Jason. If you're in the chat, you can chime in. So he said that these are just crappy mugs that I guess that's actually like a plastic drink holder that turns into a bank. And he said that they're not worth anything usually, but they sold on Truegether. This is on Truegether. He said he had them up for a while. He just had them in his profit file, and he ended up selling them for $43.98. And he said with shipping, the buyer paid about $70. I think that's what he said.
Wild.
Yeah. So he was surprised that they actually sold because they're basically junk. So yeah. So
it goes back to our episode on lots, how sometimes there are things that you can find value in as a lot, as a group. Sometimes there are things where you buy a lot and it's better to break it up. So it's all about kind of thinking outside the box and how to list things and make them seem the most valuable to your buyer.
Okay. I knew he was going to correct me because I knew I was going to butcher something in the story, but here, yeah. So it's a real coconut. They make a drink, drink in a plastic cup, and then stick the plastic cup in the coconut. Got it. Yeah.
So it's not really, it's a cheap souvenir, basically. It's not really meant to be reused.
Yeah, it looks that way. Yeah. So
that's such a cool sale.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, they sold. So very cool. And, oh yeah, that's what he said to me. Okay. He said that.
I like how you expletive outed.
Yeah, I did, because we got called out on YouTube once for something.
We did. Yeah.
So now I'm all paranoid.
God,
it was something that we shouldn't have. We got a slap on YouTube for something that was like really, really mundane. So now I'm paranoid. So yeah.
No, you're smart.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So that's what he said.
Even junk will sell. It's a good motto.
Yeah. And as you all know, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which I just mentioned. So for all of you now, men can get breast cancer too. I'm just going to go on a little spiel here because I do this every year. I say this during Pride Month. Lola knows what I'm going to say, that I have breast cancer. I'm a breast cancer survivor all year long, not just in October, just like Lola is gay all year long, not just in June during Pride Month. So it is nice to have a month that brings awareness and education. So I take that and run with it, because it is great that we have a focus on it. And, just to remind you that 1 in every 8 women in the U.S. will get breast cancer sometime in her lifetime. I was only in my 30s, so you can be young. Don't, that is a myth. It is a myth that there's a lump. I did not have a lump. You can have no symptoms and still have advanced breast cancer, as did I. So, and trust your intuition. And also, so get your yearly mammograms. And if you have any family history, this is where I went wrong. I did have family history, didn't know I should have gotten mammograms before age 40. If I had, they would have caught it sooner. Early detection saves lives and is your best defense. So, and also, like Lola brought up the point that during, with COVID and quarantine and whatnot, a lot of women have put off their yearly mammograms. So if you are one of them, please go get your mammogram, schedule that appointment, because you don't want it to be too late, go get it. So,
right. And of course, not just women.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. I have gone to breast cancer conferences, and there have been men. There are fewer men, but there have been men who are survivors there. Absolutely. Men can get it too. And if you are a man with breast cancer or prostate cancer in your family, get checked if you feel anything abnormal. If you have any, get yourself checked, because you can get breast cancer as well. So that is my little soapbox. And
Nay, I have not ever had a mammogram because I was thinking I'm too young, but I do.
You are young. You are. But do you have any family history, Lola?
I do think I have to double check with my mom, but I think I do. So I already am seeing so many different doctors. I might as well throw in a mammogram just to be safe, and I will do it in your honor.
That would be wonderful. And see, my first and last mammogram, I was 37. That was my first and last ever mammogram, because that was, they detected breast cancer. And now I don't have any breast tissue anymore, so I don't ever have to get another mammogram. The only positive point of having a double mastectomy, but yes.
That's a great point, Heather. The mammogram places are super safe. You went to a mobile unit. I'll have to see what's around here, because that does sound like a pretty easy thing to do. So.
Yeah. If you have any family history, you should, because there are so many young women that, it's such a myth. I don't know why that, because I'm in a group.
It's changing. I think I've heard that they're lowering the age that they're starting to recommend mammograms. And I don't know if I'm 35 now. So if it's 35, it's time.
Yeah, I would go get one. I think it's definitely better to be safe than sorry. So getting into our main segment.
Oh, did you want to tease our next week's episode?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, what did I do here? I'm trying to. You know what? What did I?
Oh, that's great, Jenny. You still get that.
Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I clicked on the wrong thing. I'm not. Here we go. So next week we are going to be doing Shop Goodwill sewing pattern unboxing with our friend in the chat, Ann Wolf. So Ann is also, as an added bonus, so she is a hardcore backpacker hiker. I did her store design, and it's very outdoorsy, very her. There's like a kind of a caricature in the logo of a backpacker. So that's her. And so as a sidebar item, she might be sharing, some of her scores and, talking a little bit about that if we have some time. But she bought a huge lot of sewing patterns on Shop Goodwill recently. And she contacted me and said, hey, would you like to do a show, with me unboxing them? And I was like, sure, because I know there's a following for sewing patterns, and we'll see what she got, if she got some good ones in there.
Yeah, I as you know, I love sewing patterns, so I'm super excited. Oh, she's in the chat. Hey, Anne, cannot wait for next week. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So Anne will be with us next week at our usual time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And then I also, before I jumped ahead, wanted to just give another quick shout out to Aaron and Matt, who were our guests from last week. So I had some technical issues, and at the end, we didn't get to show all of their contact information again. So go back and watch that episode. They were fantastic guests, and they talked a little bit about what they sell, about Pop Shop Live, and they were really fun. So go back and watch that. And here is where you can find them. I just wanted to give that a little time up on the screen again, because last week my internet took a big kerplunk. So yeah, So definitely check them out. They are Pete's treasures. And now our main segment. So I guess I'll just go into, so when I went to this flea market, here's the picture of what it looked like. So you can see it was really tiny. It was in my town. It was actually the morning I had a wedding, my niece's wedding that night. So I was like rushing around. So I didn't have a lot of time, but I was like, I'm going to go stop and see it. I'm glad I did. You can see it was really small. I did go 2 years ago and it was bigger. Not that that means much because it was still small, but it was like really small this year. So not a lot to choose from. Like that's the whole flea market there. It's just an annual thing that they do. I think it's like the local Lions Club or something. So there were a lot of crafters there, a lot of like jewelry crafters and really nice stuff. But, you know, not something that I was buying for resale and not something, you know, a lot of it was kind of out of my budget for, you know, what I was looking for. But that was a lot of the vibe there. So, you know, that kind of.
So fun to browse that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. It was fun. So fun. So this was a vendor. She actually made purses and baskets out of recycled plastic shopping bags. And I mean, she, you know, they were pricey, but it was well worth it because, you know, she put a lot of time into them. So everything was recycled. She recycles like glass pasta jars. She paints on them, you know, all kind of wine bottles. So that was her stand. I just thought that was kind of cool. So I snapped a shot of that. Yeah, so that was the flea market. And then I'll just go through my first couple scores. And then, so this was actually something that I found for $2 and I sent it to Jason because it was just
so weird.
It was so weird. The bimbo thing just made me laugh. Yeah, it was so odd. And he did not have it.
That's a shocker that you found something that Jason did not have in his collection.
Exactly. He did not have it. And he was amused by the art. Because
did you look it up at all to see if it had?
Yeah, it really wasn't worth that much. I think maybe like $10, you know, or so. So it wasn't worth a lot, but it was just like the art. I was like, I have to get that for $2. I was like, I have to get that and send it to Jason. So I did, and he was happy with my flea market find. Okay, and then my next thing that I will show is these. So I found there was a guy that was. So I bought a pair of shoes from this guy. I'll show the shoes first. Okay. So I bought a pair of shoes from this guy. He had like, so these are actually my size. They're Kenneth Cole.
Oh, those are cute.
They're super cute. So they're my size. So I haven't even actually tried them on yet. I'll confess, like I haven't even had a chance. But I think they're gonna fit. If they don't, I might try to. I'll just resell them. But I think they're gonna fit me. But they're super cute. Of course, I'll break my neck on the heel. But you know, sometime.
I cannot wear heels at all. I
was able to wear, like I wore like 4-inch heels to the wedding and I was okay. So I think I can do it, but I don't know. I might resell them. They just caught my eye. So these were $5. Like he had a bunch of shoes there. Nice. Nothing else that was really great. There was like a lot of Walmart brands and stuff. But these caught my eye. They're like vintage Y2K, you know.
Oh yeah. Those definitely seem like
so if they don't fit me or if I feel like I'm going to break my neck, I will just sell them. But yeah. So I picked those up for $5, but I saw some stuff there that caught my eye. I'll save the best thing for last, but he had like a box of stuff. I saw like all these office supplies, but they were like vintage office supplies. So like
and
super
still
vintage,
in the package.
like 80s. Yeah, all in the package. So I looked them up and these pens were going for $19.80 just for the one pack. This is the pack that I have.
I never guessed that.
Yeah. So I was like, so these were all free. He was like, no, it's free. I'm just giving this stuff away. So I didn't want to like, you know, take everything because that would have been like a little.
Yeah, but right. But still, it's like, how
but I was like, I picked through and I found, I found a handful of some of the packaged stuff, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I was thinking at the time, I was like, well, my kids are in school. I'm sure they'll use them. But then they were vintage. So I was like, I'm going to look these up. So yeah, so I found that these
that
pens,
is good.
Those pens alone went for
so
$19.80. And and then so this is what everything that I have. And then I also looked up some comps. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. So I looked up some comps of the rest of the stuff, and I decided to lot it all together. And I already got it listed, and I listed it all for $49.99. Now that might be a little high, but I'm figuring like I'll take like $30 or so.
Mm-hmm.
I won't.
And it was free.
It was free, so I decided to start it at that. I've had a little interest, but I've only had it up for like a week, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I decided to I already got that listed and just decided to put it as a lot. So since the pens alone sell for $20, I was like, oh, I'll just lot it all together as a vintage office supplies lot. So
that's smart.
Yeah. So okay, Lola, do you want to?
Sure. So I finally made it back to one of my favorite thrift stores in town. It is a small charity, like local charity thrift shop. All of the employees are volunteers, and it was like a little frustrating, but also endearing because none of them knew how to run the cash register. So it took me like way too long to get like rung up. But I remember going there when I was in college and thinking the prices were super reasonable and they always had really good stuff. And coming back, I want to say how many years, but like about 10 years later, the prices have not gone up. And they still had really good stuff. So the only downside to this place is that it is quite small. But I mean, I still walked away with way more stuff than I expected. And they have very limited hours. So I know they're closed on Sunday. The only weekend day they're open is Saturday, and they close by like 4 p.m. So it's sort of hard to get there when they're open. But I may have to make a better point of making it work because I was just so happy with everything I found. A lot of it's for me. There are a couple things I know I'm going to list, which easily cover everything I spent, if not more, probably quite a bit more. I picked up, I mentioned before, I collect penguin and pelican paperbacks.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a really pretty, I never seen the Shakespeare before, and it's just such a pretty cover. So this was $1. And then
I love the art. Yeah.
Yeah. And then same day, but actually different. It was a used bookshop. I happened to find this one too. So I have two more to add to my collection. And this one is on Tacitus on Britain and Germany, the Penguin Classics. So I don't think I have another purple one yet. So 2 new books for my collection. And then this place, I remembered having really good craft stuff, and they did not disappoint. There was a ton of amazing yarn. I felt a little bit like you, Nay, with the free supplies, because I was like, I could totally just take all of this.
I know.
Would make a nice profit on anything I didn't want to keep. But I also just felt bad cleaning them out because it is a small local thrift store. So I ended up just picking up this. And there's more of it. I only have 2 balls here, but I think total I had 6.
Oh, nice.
And this caught my eye because it is a British brand, vintage yarn that I was not familiar with. I hadn't seen it before. It's like a fingering weight. It is called Lister Lee, and this specific yarn is Motoravia. So Lister Lee seems like it was sort of a run-of-the-mill, not super high-end, but nice enough vintage yarn brand in the UK.
Motoravia, it sounds like a monster truck rally or something.
Kind of. Machine washable, pure new wool. So the nice thing about this British yarn is that at the time, this was, I'm guessing this is like from the 70s based on the label and the color. And just like in the US, the sheep industry has been declining in the UK, but it was still pretty strong at this time. So I'm guessing that this yarn was produced start to finish in the UK, which is just so rare today. So it's, it's sustainable because I'm buying used or vintage yarn and using it eventually for the first time. But it's also kind of sustainable because the practices that they had at the time just weren't as mired in the global kind of economy. So there wasn't as much, shipping in between each stage of creating the yarn. So just also, like my sweater, higher quality than what you normally find today. So I love vintage yarn for that reason. I found enough to make a colorwork sweater, like with this as the main color, and then add in a couple more yarns to get enough yardage and, create a beautiful sweater. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Very
But
nice. Yeah.
if I were to
It's a beautiful color.
it is real, and it's totally not what I would have if I went into a regular store and had all the colors in front of me. I wouldn't have gravitated to this one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to get pushed outside your comfort zone like that.
Yeah, you would have gravitated more towards a neutral color.
Probably, or like a green.
Yeah.
Not anything this bright, and it's showing up on screen a little bit paler than it is in person. It's pretty
It looks
fuchsia.
pink. It looks like a bright pink.
It's a little more fuchsia than
Okay.
but yeah, very bright color. And if I were to list this for the 6 balls, I'd probably list $50. It looks like there isn't that much of it in the US. Most of it that I could see was from the UK. So, it's a little bit unusual to find here. And then this is something that I had been looking for a while. I had almost just gone to Joann's to buy it brand new. It's a quilting ruler. These are quite expensive. They're like $30 new. And I got mine for $2. And it does have a little scuffs on it and stuff, but like it's a utilitarian item. So I really do not care. Very happy with that find.
And Brian, I'm sure you already saw it, but go back again because it was a while ago, and watch our yarn episode, because it was like a marathon episode, because that is Lola's thing. But
yes,
there's so much good information in there. So definitely, when you have a block of time, go back and watch that.
And I have offered this before. It is a continually open offer to anyone watching our show. If you want to get in touch, either email us at nalothrifts@gmail.com, which is, our email address on the end of every episode, or if you are in contact with me on Instagram or Facebook, send me a message, send me some photos of whatever yarn you have questions about, and I will probably tell you more than you need to know. You want to go next, Nay?
Yeah, sure. So I have, so there was a woman there selling, she was selling a lot of plus sized items, which was really nice, because I am, they're great for resale. So this is a Bob Mackie. This was $2.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's Bob Mackie Studio. It's beaded. It's really pretty. So I listed this one already. I'll show you the comp.
Cool. And there's a lot of Bob Mackie fans, right? Like it has a bit of a following.
Yeah, there are. And I think I might cross it on eBay. So there is the listing. I listed it for $29 on Poshmark. So nice. Yeah, so I mean, I figured, I'll take an offer, and I paid $2 for it. So we'll see if I get any traction there. I actually will probably cross it on eBay too. So, and then I found this torrid. It's really actually really cute.
That is
I
cute.
almost wanted to keep it, but it's a little too big on me. So it looks like sloppy on me is what I'm saying, but it's really
not intentionally oversized.
Yeah, unfortunately I tried it on. I was hoping, I was like, oh no, I can't do this. But it's new with tags. It's got the tag on it. Nice. Unfortunately, she did write the price on the tag. So
you know what I would do with that though? I just clip off the bottom of the tag, and then it looks like that's what you do when you give it as a gift or something.
Yeah, I can. It's just it's got the the price on it, but she was asking $3 for it, and she did write the price on anything that was new with tag. She wrote it right on the tag, but that's okay. It's a size 0X, which I guess is just like an extra large kind of thing.
Is that their lowest?
Yeah, but it's really pretty. It's kind of sheer, and it's just
super
like a
pretty, nice layering piece for this time of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I was mad that it just looked frumpy on me. I was like, so I was hoping, but I listed it for I listed it for $32 because it was new with tags on Poshmark. So if anybody's interested, it is for sale.
And Heather has a
So
great point. Can you white out the price? That might be a good way to do it.
that's a good
You have
point.
all that.
Yeah. I did get like the 3 off of it. You can tell there was a price written on it. So
Yeah.
and then I also found, this was from a different person that was selling clothes. This I paid $2 for as well. It is Andrew Mark, New York. I
Oh,
don't,
I've seen that brand before.
yeah, it's got like a mesh inside. There's the tag. It's a size 10, so it's a decent size.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured for $2, it's not something like a brand that I would normally pick up because it's not like a really well-selling brand, but it does sell. And I did, I comped it out and listed it at $48 on Poshmark, thinking, I'll take an offer on it. So we'll see how that does.
Nice. I
And
love the color, and it's actually really similar to the color of my yarn, which is funny.
Yeah. So, and then, do you have a lot more, Lola?
I have a bunch more stuff. I can
Okay, so you go, because I only have a few more things here. So
okay. I mean, I'll have like a ton, but I do have.
no, that's fine. I have like 5 more items.
So speaking of wearing something you thrifted, I almost put these on today, but they don't really match my, frumpy cozy sweater. So these were an impulse purchase. I just saw them by the cash register and I really liked them. So they're just
those are beautiful.
Rhinestone. They were $5. So actually kind of one of the more expensive items I bought. And if I were going to resell them, I think they'd be about 15-ish. Mm-hmm. I've sold a pair similar that I found in a Goodwill Blue box, and they did sit for a while and didn't go for too much. So definitely was buying them with myself in mind, but I just thought they were so cute. Yeah. And then another book that I had been wanting to read, it's $1. So just grabbed that. And then they had this
what
beautiful...
was it? You flashed it really quick.
Oh, sure. Sorry. It's called The Elegance of the Hedgehog. I read another book by this author and really liked it.
Okay.
Hairs on it. So yeah, I mean, again, not something to resell, just for myself. And then one thing that this thrift store has an amazing selection of is just vintage linens. And I felt like a kid in the candy store because I was grabbing like all of them. There was a beautiful tablecloth that I really regret not buying, and I'm kind of tempted to go back and see if it's there, but I'm sure it's gone by now. They had this whole rack of Ziploc bags full of doilies that were kind of like pinned with little clothespins, and I decided on 2 of them. So
nice.
These are also for me to keep. I'm not listing these. As I've probably mentioned on this show before, I am Mexican, and it is this season of Dia de los Muertos, and I have been thinking about putting together my ofrenda this year, and I wanted to do something a little fancier than I did last year. So I thought that these would be beautiful for my ofrenda.
So pretty. Yeah.
So this is
very pretty. Oh my gosh, gorgeous.
Probably this looks handmade. I'm not quite sure if it's padding. I'm actually not entirely sure what method it is, which is rare for me. So I'll have to ask around some of my
who might be able to help you too is our friend Stacy Faraci. She is she actually does her own
she sent some photos of her doing
so she might know, because she has a lot of knowledge about that. So
and I'll try and take this off. They kind of taped the price to this one, so they're definitely fragile.
You can tell.
And based on that, I also think they're fairly old. I guess like 30s or 40s. And then, I love vintage tablecloths. I don't really use them, and so I have kind of like a little stockpile of them that if I need one, I already have plenty. They're so hard to leave behind because they're just so pretty. And especially the ones, you know, are like hand embroidered that someone at one point in history like put so much time, love, and care into
Yep,
it.
absolutely.
So these are the other ones I got, and these I'm planning to use for sort of like the visible mending, super cottagecore look. So I actually may end up using these in something that I would list. So if there's
Yeah, I
like
can see
a
that. Yeah.
patch that's needed, you can kind of like use this behind, like say like the
Yep.
knee of the jean, and so you see some of the
Yep.
lace
That would look
peeking
awesome.
out.
Yeah.
So I mean, sort of, I got these for myself, but they may end up being incorporated in something that I sell. So these are nice because they're just kind of simple fabric, but with a little interest on them. I was also thinking about maybe like using this over another piece of fabric for a mask, like a kind of cottagecore
Oh, that,
mask.
yeah,
So,
yeah. You
um,
see, I love the thinking outside of the box. That's, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if it's worth trying to sell masks at this point because I think, you know, the market is pretty saturated, and but I kind of do think that there will be people wearing masks for the foreseeable future. So it may
Oh,
just
yeah, I think so
become
too. Yeah.
normal for, you know, flu season and stuff. So
Yep.
I'm still kind of thinking about, you know, I might make a few, keep one, throw up a couple, and see what
Yeah.
happens. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And they'll be unique. So,
Oh, that's such a great idea, Heather. Use one as a window cover. Yeah. Oh no, I wouldn't just make it by like use it by itself. I'd layer it with a couple more layers of cotton.
yeah.
So it should be fine.
More like that would be like the ornamental part. And then the
Yeah,
rest.
like a detail on
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
I understand.
Yeah.
So I have, so this was something I got for so this was 50 cents. I do have to clean it, but it's a critter keeper because we are a tarantula household. And when I clean their tanks, I need a place to put the little guys. So this will be a temporary tarantula enclosure while I'm cleaning their tanks. I can transfer them in here. I was actually looking for one of these, but they're like, I mean, these things can be like, you know, $15 in the pet store. So for 50 cents, not bad. So that was a good flea market find. And then this I got, I think I might keep this one. It's, again, it's a little big, but it's kind of like the kind that, so this was also from the lady that was selling like a lot of the plus size clothing.
I love
It's an
those
extra large, and it's like, but I thought I could you know, wear it like over something. It's sheer. It's just Style and Company. So
that
it's
is
really
very
pretty.
Cute.
And it's got like these bell sleeves, and so I thought like over like a tank and leggings, maybe, you know, like black, it might work. So yeah, so you can see it's really pretty though, and that was again $2. So and then I got this J. Crew dress.
Oh, that's nice. That looks perfect for like going into the holiday season. Like
this it actually fits me.
ooh.
So it actually fits me. I paid $1 for it, so I was like, but it fits me, so I might actually I might wear it like for the holidays or something.
Yeah, with like a beautiful statement necklace.
Yeah.
You could add a fun pair of heels.
Yeah, so
that'd be nice, like
pretty well with
dinner at Christmas.
Yeah, I did pretty well with the clothing there.
Yeah, you really did.
And then this is the other thing that I got. So from the guy that I bought Jason's sheet music, crazy sheet music from, he was selling a lot of really old, like vintage stuff. And this is one of the things that I bought from him. It was just hanging there. So it's this adorable little like baby doll dress. It's like fuzzy material, and here is it's from the 60s.
Oh,
60s
wow.
or early 70s. I looked up the label, so it's got the hand wash, so it's probably more like 70s, but
I mean, it looks kind of like 70s hippie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but the brand is like 60s and 70s. Gotcha. So but it's
when I first saw the pattern, I thought it was like a modern anthropology dress. Yeah, that's so cool.
It's definitely vintage, and it's like fuzzy. It's like fuzzy material. It's almost like a
flocking. Almost like it might be.
I think it's
flock.
Not flannel. You can tell it's like polyester, but it's like really soft. It's acetate nylon, not polyester. So, all right. So the brand is Ragdoll San Francisco. So I looked up some comps on this, and
so
here is what I found. I will be selling this one because it's like an extra small. It doesn't have an actual size on it. The size is actually blurred out. I can't read it on the paper tag, but you can tell like by the waist and all. It's really tiny. So, so this is what I found. So this one is $45.99. So here is one that's from this brand, $62.40. Now these aren't completed. So I did have some trouble finding.
Finding comps on vintage dresses can be pretty hard.
So there's one that went for $62.40. And here is this. I love this this print. It's crazy.
Oh, like, that is so incredible.
Yeah. So this one on Etsy, $98 they're asking for it. So I don't think that's a sold price though, but still, yeah. So, and that's kind of like the same vibe. So then I also found a maxi dress that was on Poshmark. I actually found a couple maxi dresses, but I just gave you one of the comps for $160. But that's a maxi dress in that brand. So obviously,
and in general, maxi dresses will always have higher of a price point.
And then here's another like kind of little like baby doll kind of thing that and they have this one listed as 70s. So, and I think that's about right with my label. So this one they are asking $49.20 for it. So oops. So I think so I think I have probably around a $50. I'll probably ask around $50 for it and then take an offer.
That sounds exactly what I would do.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking from the comps that I'm seeing. So here's this label actually looks a little newer than mine. So it's a little different.
This is the kind of thing, I mean, when you're looking at vintage dresses like this, they're going to sell more on the style than on the actual brand on the tag. And sometimes you do have people who are aficionados of a specific brand's sort of aesthetic, but you might want to also look more at comps for like broader keywords like hippie 70s boho dress or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think you're right on. I would, my gut instinct would be about what you said. So
yeah, and I think if people are going to it's not like an Alfred Shaheen or
right,
like
but
the name Vintage or Lily, or it's not something really well known. So I think people are going to be looking for it based on style more than brand. So I found these earrings. There were a bunch. I did not get a lot. Usually at flea markets, I clean up on the jewelry. This time there was not. There were a lot of like crafter jewelers who made their own, and they were gorgeous stuff. But like they started at like $30 and up. Those kind of prices, and were well worth it for their time and effort, but not what I was looking for. So this is one of the I got these. I paid $1 for these earrings. They're just costume jewelry, but
those are so nice.
Yeah, but I thought they were really pretty. So that's the only jewelry find that I got at this flea market. And I'm keeping these for me. They're not. But yeah, I thought they were really pretty. There were some Indian jeweler crafters that made Indian jewelry. And when I went to this flea market 2 years ago, I actually did get a pair of Indian earrings from one of them, but their prices went doubled and tripled this year.
Oh, wow.
Which is fine. I get it because they're putting in their time and value, but it was more than I wanted to pay. So.
Yeah, totally understand.
Yeah. And then okay, so 2 more things. So this one I will show. So I found this. This is what made me ask about the free items.
Yeah.
I saw this and I was like, oh, how much for that Lisa Frank pencil case? And he's like, oh no, that's a free box. Anything in there is free. And I'm like, and I offered to pay. I'm like, oh no, I'll pay for it. And he's like, no, that's all free. So that's where I got the office supplies from. There were other new office supplies. This was the only Lisa Frank item. And again, I didn't want to take all of his free items because that would have just been rude and greedy. So I took, some of the, and I definitely took this. So I knew this was a score. So this is from 1989. I think it's 1989. Did I see that on there? It's early 90s or late 80s. Thought I saw a date on it. Anyway, it's but it's definitely like true vintage. So it's a little bent, but that doesn't matter. So here are the comps on that. So this is
Pull up comps for you.
yeah, so this is mine. Okay, so this is just the pencil case alone used sold for $32 just for the pencil case, not in the pack.
Open. Yeah, open, used, not in package.
And the whole set, which is the same as mine, sold for $56 on up on auction. So I was like, okay, that's the only sold. There's no new ones up, you know, and there's nothing else comparable up right now, just the $56 sold. So I decided to price it high. So I did price it at $125, and I got some lowball offers on it. I had 12 watchers, but nobody was budging. So I decided to lower it a little because I knew my price was a little bit out of, you know, with taking an offer. So I lowered it to $99.99. I do have 12 watchers on it, and I'm just going to leave it here and wait to get a reasonable offer. So I'm hoping to get, you know, at least that $56 on this.
Yeah, that is amazing. I cannot believe you gave that away for free.
So probably my best score of the flea market, which was free. So this paid for, so altogether, I spent maybe $25 or $30, like if that, I didn't add it all up, but so this actually paid for my all of everything that I got, and then some, you know, because I know it's going to sell for.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're smart to just kind of keep the price high and know that you'll eventually take an offer. But when you have that many watchers, like, why sell yourself short by making it anything close to what you're expecting?
Well, I knew the 125 was a little too ambitious. That's why I did drop it a little bit. I wanted to kind of get a feel. And I dropped it to $99.99. I'm just going to leave it sit there. So we'll see. Now I do have one more item, Lola, and this is a surprise for you. I'm going to send this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I found this. I do have to clean it. So from the person that I got the critter keeper from, they also had this.
Oh,
it is a little trinket box. So it's from Lori VC, which is Our Name is Mud, very popular.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she did a lot of mugs and stuff. But I found this, and
that's so cute.
So I will be mailing this to you.
Oh, thank you. That's so I've actually been looking for like a little box to put all my rings in my like bedside, on my bedside table. So that's perfect.
So if I don't break it first, I will. No, I'll bubble it good, and I'll get that out to you. So
thank you.
And I think I paid like $2 for it.
And that's a really important part of our friendship, that we buy each other gifts and we are not embarrassed to say how little we paid.
Yes, I got a used trinket box for $2, Lola.
That you have to clean.
Yes, that I have to clean. It's a little cruddy.
And all that makes it better. I love it.
That is the best thing. We always give each other thrifted gifts and then brag about how little we paid.
Okay, I have a few things left, and do you?
One more thing, I just wanted to give a tip. So this is not something I thrifted, but it is, and I folded it really unneatly before the show, but this is a bag that I have that folds up and fits in my purse. So when I go to a flea market, I actually took this along. When I go to a flea market or somewhere, I have it in my purse, and then it unfolds, and I have a nice big bag.
That is so smart. That's great for the bins too. I mean, because that looks so lightweight. You could almost just load it up with stuff and not worry about like kind of paying for the weight. But
and I got it at Target for like, they sell them there for like $2.99. I'm sure they sell them at other places too. But just as a little tip, it's kind of, you know, like we take the big IKEA bags to the bins and whatnot. But for something like this, a small flea market, I didn't need a big bag like that.
Yeah.
So this is perfect. It just folds up and fits in your purse. So just a little flea market tip. And that is the end of my haul. So
So I have a few more things. Speaking of patterns for our haul next week, the thrift store had patterns marked 3 for $1. So I grabbed 3. And this one is not worth too much. I think it's like, $5, but it is new and uncut. And I thought it was kind of a cute pajama pattern, so I figured if it
Yeah,
was
pajama
anything,
patterns do tend to sell
I
well.
have done really well with pajama patterns lately. So I'll probably list it, and no, it's not going to be a ton of money, but I mean, again, I got these for 3 for $1. This one was the best one, I think. So it was just a fun Vogue pattern. I thought it was like a nice sort of functional, that looks like nice size stuff.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And there was a recent sold that had sold for only $7, but the only current listed one was listed at $39. So I might go a little bit high with this one and just, obviously put best offer. And it is also new and uncut, so super easy to list. Yeah. And then this one, unfortunately, is pre-cut. So if I do list it, it'll be a little bit more work. And I wish it were my size and I'd just keep it, but it's a small.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
It's a really cool, look at that collar. Look how fun that is.
That is so nice. Yeah, I love it.
In general, and you can go back and watch our vintage pattern episode if you want to know more about sewing patterns in general. And I'm sure we'll talk lots about listing and pricing patterns next week on the unboxing. But Vogue patterns with a named designer on them generally are winners. And unfortunately, this one's sort of a mess on the inside. Like all the pieces are kind of cut and haphazard. So I don't know if it's actually worth it to me to go through and like make sure all the pieces are present and stuff. The solds were kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Some were only like $8 to $10. Some were a little bit higher, closer to 20, but I think those were for uncut versions of this pattern. So I may just keep it in my own collection for inspiration.
Yeah, I think it might sound like so.
It's like
a couple.
It was worth having.
Heather said she's been wearing her eBay fanny pack. So awesome. That is the eBay fanny pack that Jason donated for our prizes for our 1K celebration, subscriber celebration. So that was the prize that Heather won. So I am glad to see that you're putting it to good use, Heather.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's a great way to find gifts that are unique and different and don't break the bank. Definitely sometimes a little controversial whether or not to give a used item, but I think a great benefit of platforms like Poshmark and Depop becoming more mainstream is that I think just people's kind of assumptions about what is normal consumption is changing. It's more normal to buy things secondhand, so it might become more normal and more accepted to give secondhand gifts, even if it's not to your best friend who's also a thrifter, because it's just so much better for the environment.
Oh, Heather, we'll have to look for your photo. She said she
awesome.
Really loved her fanny pack. I'm so glad that you're using it. That's so cool.
So this is another thing I picked up on a whim. I had never seen something like this before, and I was just super curious. I found it new. It's about $12, so I mean, I'm not going to list it, but it's like a set of patterns that you can use to practice fitting for sewing.
Oh, okay.
So I just thought that was super interesting, and just
that is such a Lola.
Yeah. So I always have a hard time passing up things that I am intrigued by, especially when it's like $1. So I have saved the best for last, Nate. You're going to flip. This was the first thing I saw when I walked in the door, and I knew it was going to be a good thrifting day when I saw this. This is handmade. Definitely 90s.
Oh my goodness.
Big gathered skirt.
Wow, that is so cottage core too.
Cottage core, and it's a nice size. I think it might fit me. It's marked as a large, but it is handmade, so there's not a
there's no
the store marked it as a large. It doesn't have a size marked, but of course I'll just do measurements and probably list it first on Depop and then see, cross.
Oh, I would list that pretty high too.
Yeah,
that is gorgeous. Thinking. That's amazing. Yeah.
So how great is that? It is a little out of season, but I mean, it's
got like the gunny. I think it'll bring like the Gunny Sacks crowd. Like it's got that kind of vibe to it.
Totally. And then these two items are unfortunately smaller size. Definitely too tiny for me, but they were just so cute and in pristine condition.
Ooh.
So this is the first dress.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Is that tulips or hearts?
It is tulips,
Oh
but they
my
do
gosh.
look, I think they are intentionally like kind of heart shaped.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cute. It's definitely got an 80s vibe.
It still has the belt. You are right on the money. So I'll talk about the brand in a second. They're both the same brand. And I think they're even like the same style, just different patterns. I know this one looks like it has a little bit more ruching, but very similar.
Oh yeah.
This one is, oh, and it's also, I think, maybe longer. This is just a smaller floral dress.
Oh, wow, so pretty.
And I mean, they both feel like they've never been washed.
Yeah.
They have the belt.
Yeah, that's a bonus because usually they're missing.
And all of these items were $5 each.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's the price tag. This is the brand tag. So Lands is a vintage brand that I've definitely found before.
LANZ. There's Lance of Salisbury, Lance of.
Yeah. So at one point they broke up.
So funny that you say that, Lola. I just literally, like 2 days ago, grabbed a Lance of Salisbury. It's very cottagecore, very 80s. It's a nightgown with the tags out of my profit pile.
That's so funny. I have one hanging in my closet that needs to be listed.
So funny. Yeah.
So I remember looking it up, and there are two Lances, and at one point they were the same company, but then they split up. I think this one closed, but the Lands of Salzburg, I think, still exists.
Salzburg. I said Salisbury.
I think it's Salzburg. Yeah. I could be the one who's wrong, but and if you Google that, I don't remember exactly where I read about it, but it wasn't too hard to find the information. It might have been on like the Vintage Fashion Guild. But this is definitely like a subsidiary brand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'd never heard of it before. I didn't actually find that much about it. It seems like it was maybe a junior's, a little bit younger kind of vibe. But I did want to just share a quick tip because
it does look 80s though, for sure.
And that is part of my tip. So a great way to date vintage is if you can find the trademark information, and often this will come up if you just Google a name of a defunct brand, because there isn't a ton of other stuff fighting for Google's attention. Like there's no current website that's on the internet. You can see exactly when the name was filed and when it became defunct. So here's the timeline. Date of first use is 1986. So that's why I was saying you are right on the money. It definitely has to be after 86.
Yeah.
And then it was canceled in 1999. So, definitely seems like it was used from the mid 80s into the 90s.
My guess is like late 80s for those dresses.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yep.
And it's interesting because some people do have the few examples of this brand I could find listed, had it as like 70s, 80s, which is definitely not correct. So that is an easy thing to verify. If you're looking to date a vintage dress, find the trademark when the trademark was filed for that brand name. And sometimes it's a super old name and it won't help you. And sometimes like this one, it'll say it was 1986 and it's not 70s.
Yeah.
So.
And also rely on your thrifting instincts too, because they are often.
Heather is asking if needlepoint samplers are cottagecore. I would definitely say yes. I mean,
because a big part of cottagecore is crafting too, like knitting and crafting and stuff like that, canning, and
there are definitely some motifs that might be like a little bit more cottagecore than others, but I can't think of any example that I would say like, oh, definitely don't use that.
I would. Because it's not just about the subject, but also about what it is. The whole crafting movement is very integrated into cottagecore, if that makes sense. So
absolutely. Okay. And, fun haul day.
Yeah, that was fun. I think I did pretty good it was for a tiny, tiny flea market, and who would have thought my best item would have been the free item? So
Mookie has gotten impatient, waiting for me to finish up. So
I have a few sales. So this sold for $40. I took a best offer. It was new with tags. I think I paid $5.99 for it, if I remember right. Sorry, I'm trying to get it.
Yeah, and this is the time to get your sweaters listed if you have any.
Yeah.
I know I have a couple that need to get up. That I have photos and everything. I just need to do the listing, so now is the time.
So it was Tommy Bahama. It was new with tags. It had like the return blooming
size,
but yeah, it was so I sold that I took a best offer of $40 on it because it was sitting for a while. So and then these were sitting forever. Oh my gosh, I was so glad to get rid of these.
They're so cute.
They sat for, I mean, like a couple of years, probably. Well, that listing's at this house, so I would say probably for well over a year at least they sat. But they finally sold. I took a best offer of 20, and I was able to fit them in a padded flat rate, which is now like $9 instead of the hike. But and then I sold this on Poshmark this week. Actually, during the Halloween party, there was like a Halloween themed, like it was the night party where anything goes. But I actually put this up at the top of my closet during that party, and somebody bought it during the party.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was super cute. Yeah, so I took a best offer of 18 on that one, and then these I actually bought. So a couple weeks ago, I was in Philly, and I stopped at this consignment shop just really quick.
Yeah.
I told you about it I was looking for something to wear I needed like some stuff for the wedding, which I talked about. Like I showed the bag I got there and stuff. But I also needed something for my friend's birthday dinner in New York City. It was a fancy dinner. So when I was in the store, the school called that my son needed to be picked up because he wasn't feeling good. He's fine. No, not COVID or anything. He's totally fine. So I'm in Philly, an hour away, and I'm like, okay, I got to drop everything and run. I can't look in the store. So I was on my way out, and I saw these. These were $2. For some reason, I'm like a 9.5, 10. For some reason, I thought they were a 9.5. I decided wrong. So I grabbed them without trying them on because they were $2. And I'm like, okay, I will just get these because I think I can wear these to this dinner. Got them home, and I realized they were an 8.5, which is like way too tiny for my foot. So I listed them, and they sold already for $18 on Poshmark. So I'm glad that it was a happy out. Yeah, because I wouldn't have picked them up normally. It's like not a brand, even for $2. I probably wouldn't have picked them up if I wasn't, intending to.
They would look nice with that black J. Crew dress.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were like a size and a half too small for my feet. But I was hoping, I'm like, oh, they're a 9.5. I can probably cram into them. But no, they were an 8.5, so that wasn't happening. So anyway, but they sold. So that was a good. So. And then we have a question for you. We want to know what your best flea market find was. Since we were talking about flea markets this week, we thought you might. And it could be like from any time in history of all of the flea markets that you've gone to. So, and you can find us, as always, everywhere. We are mostly Run Lola Run, and I am Thrifty Nay, except on eBay, we are Coldbright, Dazzle, and Low 2-5. Email us. We'd love to hear from you if you want to be a guest or if you have an idea for an upcoming video. If there's something any other comments or questions or whatever, let us know.
Yeah, we love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
And we will see you all next week, same time.
Yes, we're looking forward to having Ann Wolf on as our guest. It's going to be fun. We'll see you next week. All right. Hey, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye.